I've been wondering about whether to challenge some of the ridiculous things I've seen online about Doctor Who being too politically correct. And I've decided I can't really let it lie. Someone's got to say something about this stuff. Okay, don't forget to press subscribe and support me if you can on Patreon. I've been really concerned about some of the stuff that's been talked about in terms of Doctor Who being too politically correct. I've noticed a lot of videos where particularly American so-called fans of Doctor Who keep saying that it's too PC, and this is a totally false narrative. It has been made up by these people, and one of the reasons I haven't spoken out about it before now was because I didn't think they deserved any kind of comment really. But actually it does need to be challenged because they are totally wrong about the programme that they're talking about, and I care about Doctor Who a great deal, and I'm not going to have it dragged through that kind of nonsense without somebody speaking up in defence of the programme. Doctor Who has always been a liberal programme. It has always been about a liberal character campaigning for freedom and justice, and often for the underdog. Get used to it. Having said that, there have been the occasional situation where the Doctor has been a little bit more conservative on occasions. I remember an example in Jon Pertwee's era when the Doctor was very supportive of capital punishment, which I think is absolutely abhorrent and wrong. And I think it might even be in the same story he talks about being personal friends with Mao Zedong, which is a little bit dodgy as well. So there's been times when Doctor Who has had lots of different kinds of politics. It has always been political. A lot of science fiction is. A lot of the stories are allegorical. They're supposed to be about now. They're supposed to be about societal situations. You need to get used to it. And the reason that this false narrative has come about is because there is a real narrative. The real narrative of the producers deciding to cast a woman, shock horror, in the lead role. And what a fantastic choice that's been. And also the producers said that they wanted this series 11, to be all about inclusivity, inclusion, diversity. So there is a narrative here. But the false narrative expands on that, and what the false narrative does is you have people then making things up. So one of the things I've seen online is this idea that the BBC has a PC checklist for scripts, and if you don't have everything on the checklist, the script has to be rewritten. That has been made up by somebody. Another thing that's been made up is that there was an interview with Neil Gaiman, who's written for Doctor Who before, and he did an interview saying that he saw an original draft of a script that was better than what was actually put on screen. Well, I'm sure that's true. I mean, Doctor Who has always had scripts which have changed from the first draft to what goes out on screen. That's why you have a story editor or a script editor or a showrunner. All the way through Doctor Who's history there's been examples of this. I think to the Tom Baker story, Brain of Morbius, written by Terrance Dicks. The script editor Robert Holmes made massive changes to it. Terrance Dicks refused to have his name on it, telling Robert Holmes to just put it out under some bland pseudonym. So when you watch the programme it comes up as written by Robin Bland. There have been so many stories in Doctor Who's past which have been rewritten and the original writers have been annoyed. Get used to it. These people making this false narrative want to make it look like political correctness, PC, is something that is to be avoided, and that politics is something that shouldn't be in drama. If you like science fiction and you don't want politics in your drama, you're watching the wrong genre. You are not interested in science fiction. You are simply moronic. Just get it through your thick nut. Instead of complaining about the programme, just don't watch it. We don't want you anyway. You are not fans of Doctor Who. This is a programme that started in 1963, produced by the first woman producer at the BBC. That first story was directed by an openly gay Indian guy, Boris Hussain. This programme has had diversity in its roots right from the beginning, and we should be celebrating that. And we should not be allowing it to be diverted by this false narrative and these ridiculously right-wing imbeciles who want to control everything and want to stop anything about diversity ever being mentioned. And that doesn't mean that everything in Doctor Who is perfect. You get eras of Doctor Who that you don't enjoy, but if you're a true fan, you stick with the programme regardless of whether the era is something that you enjoy or not. I haven't particularly liked the Stephen Moffat era. I haven't enjoyed it at all, actually. I find I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we've got this new fresh take on Doctor Who. It's not a perfect, consistently brilliant programme from start to finish, and its politics changes over time depending on who's working on it. But you can't just dismiss it. I mean, even this year, having talked about how Series 11 is about diversity and inclusion and how the Doctor is a liberal icon, there is also a situation in this series where terrible people have got away with things. We've seen that terrible Trump character in Arachnids in the UK effectively get away with their behaviour, and we saw the fascist in Rosa beamed off somewhere. And also in Kablam, the entire premise came down to the fact that the system is all right. And I don't like that. I want the system to be challenged. That's what Doctor Who's about, challenging the system. So to simply say that it's too politically correct is actually just, not only is it a false narrative, you're actually missing out on some stuff there that you should be complaining about and worried about and wondering about. You guys just don't get it.